GCB Construction's Project Site-Specific Induction. For all persons conducting a business or undertaking, PCBU, and all workers on site, please watch this video and complete site induction form afterwards. First aid information. There are qualified first aid personnel in the site management team, and first aid kits and equipment are located in the site office and/or first aid room. All injuries, accidents, incidents or events must be reported to the site supervisors immediately. Consultation, cooperation and coordination. If there are any questions or clarifications, please feel free to ask our site management at any time. All site personnel must read and review the daily pre-start consultation form sign-on to assess the day's activities, related hazards and the control measures to be put in place. Each worker must sign into and out of site with times of entry and exit. All workers shall report all identified or potential site hazards to supervisors and/or GCB site management immediately so suitable controls can be put in place. Amenities on site. I have been explained the locations of all amenities on site: toilets, drinking water, eating facilities, etc. I agree to keep these areas clean and tidy when in use and will report any issues. Personal protective equipment, PPE requirements. The minimum personnel protective equipment required to be worn on this project at all times is hard toe safety footwear, hard hats and high visibility top shirts. Other PPE must be worn strictly according to your safe work method statements or risk assessments and immediately upon direction from supervisors. Gloves, eye and ear protection and dust masks or respirators, etc. Emergency evacuation. Emergency assembly areas will be shown to you for this site. Muster points will have signs. Upon hearing the nominated emergency sound alert, proceed calmly to the assembly areas. Electrical hazards and controls. All electrical leads and RCDs are to be inspected daily and must be tested and tagged every 3 months. Damaged equipment must not be used, stop work, and all electrical faults, hazards must be reported immediately. Working near power lines services requires full consultation with site management prior to any work. Height safety. Fall protection and prevention is mandatory. To manage the risk of a fall by a person from one level to another that it is reasonably likely to cause injury to the person or any other person. Strictly follow the control measures in your swims for work over 2 meters. Use of hazardous substances and safety data sheets, SDS. Safety data sheets, SDS, must be provided prior to the use of substances on site, and risk assessments must be completed on the hazardous substance being used to determine safe use, handling, storage, and emergency measures in case of an accident or spill. Alcohol and drugs. No person is to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs while at work. Prescription drugs must be disclosed on your site induction form. Failure to participate in random testing may exclude that person from working on this site. Qualifications and high-risk work licenses. General construction industry inductions, example white cards, must be evidenced at site induction. Qualifications and competencies must be recorded prior to any work. High-risk work licenses, HRWLs. HRWLs must be evidenced at site inductions and prior to performing any high-risk work on this project. HRWLs include crane, hoist and forklift operations, rigging, dogging, scaffolding, WP, boom type 11 or more, and concrete placing boom, PB. Plant and equipment. Major plant and equipment safety checklists and plant risk assessments must be completed prior to any operations on site. Operators must evidence their competencies, qualifications, and be certain all plant and equipment is safe, fit for purpose, and inspections, logbooks, and maintenance records are provided. Tool and equipment use. Creating dust of any kind is prohibited on this site. Control measures such as vacuum extraction and wet cutting must be used. All PPE must be worn strictly according to your swims. Do not cause uncontrolled flying debris during operation. Confirm your competency for use of each specific tool and inspect all tools and equipment for damage for every use. Site signage requirements. Observe and comply with all safety signage on site. PCBUs must supply all signage required for their works. Personal conduct. All works are to be completed in a safe and professional manner. Verbal abuse, derogatory language, bullying and harassment will not be tolerated on any of our projects. Reported incidents will be investigated and may result in site dismissal. Housekeeping. All PCBUs and workers are responsible for cleaning their work areas daily. Housekeeping is part of every contract and simply common courtesy to other workers on site. Please alert site management about any waste removal issues ASAP, particularly to control slips, trips and fall hazards. Work Health and Safety Act 2011 duties. Primary duty of care and duties of workers. Horseplay and skylarking will not be tolerated on this site, and just like breaches of your work health and safety duties can result in site dismissal. GCB's disciplinary process is verbal warning, first and final written warning, site dismissal. Manual handling. Manual handling activities may stress or strain the body when the force required exceeds the capacity that a person can safely handle or the activity is undertaken improperly. All site personnel must assess the risk of the manual handling and do not lift, push, pull or move more than is safe for you. Always consider alternative lifting methods to reduce the risk. Use mechanical aids. Wheelbarrows, crane, hoist, forklifts, trolleys, etc. Use of adjustable platforms or scissor lifts. Adjust work surfaces to ensure adequate height and space to complete the tasks. Coordinate alternating tasks with workers and supervisors. Ensure training is provided on how to use equipment correctly. Avoid stacking objects unsafely. Dust hazards and controls. Dust containing respirable crystalline silica, RCS, represents a health hazard in workplaces. Higher order controls must be used: isolation, substitution, engineering through ventilation. Prior to PPE, respirators being implemented as an appropriate control. Do not create any silica dust on this site without using suitable control measures, which shall be included in your safe work method statement. Examples include using water for dust suppression, using HEPA filtered vacuums to collect all dust for safe disposal, in combination with suitable respiratory protection, PPE. Risk of exposure must be minimised so far as it reasonably practical. This is the end of the site induction video. If you have any questions or need clarification on any site issues, please feel free to ask site management.